Greetings and welcome to yet another episode of Trumpet Call. Trumpet Call is a ministry that is dedicated to end time teachings. We prepare the bride of Christ for the rapture. The Lord has told us that He's coming again, and we shall meet Him in the clouds and spend eternity with Him. So Jesus has given Trumpet Call the assignment to prepare His bride to be a ready bride without a spot, without a blemish. I started sharing about heaven, and I said that Jesus is giving us teasers or some kind of promo concerning heaven, because heaven is beautiful. He says, I'm going to make a place for you so that you can spend time in eternity with me. So we continue with these vision episodes. I know you're excited about it. I am always excited to talk about heaven. Feel free to ask me any questions on the chat, and I'll be happy to respond in the next, in the next episode. Let me talk about three people that I have seen in heaven and what they do. One of our most favorite people is David. David the psalmist, David the king of Israel. He is a popular character in the Bible. He inspires us a lot because even God Himself commended him. He's a man after my own heart. So what does David do in heaven? One of the things David does in heaven, he's a musician. A lot of the Psalms are actually songs. And so what David does, he traverses the whole of heaven. I call him the one-man guitar of heaven. He has his guitar. There's even this, is it a nursery rhyme that says, little David, play on your harp, hallelujah, hallelujah. So David is this one-man guitar of heaven. When I say one-man guitar, Kenyans know what I'm talking about. There are these soloists who play their guitars or whatever musical instruments. So you are likely to have an episode or a dance and music episode in heaven. You just bump upon David. You probably find him in a street corner in heaven just doing his thing. Isn't that beautiful? And I think the Lord will make it very sporadic, very, unplanned, that you will bump into David with one of his, episodes there, just singing away and dancing away. And you'll have just a fun time. I'm a girl who likes music and dancing. So I know the Lord will program my team in heaven to spend a lot of time with David because he's a dancer and he's a musician in heaven. We look forward to meeting you, David, on the other side and just having a grand time of music and song. Another thing that David does is he manages what the Lord, he showed me there is like a stadium of music and music instruments in heaven. And when I say a stadium, maybe it's the size of a country. It's not the stadiums that we think about. It's huge. So every music instrument is in that stadium. And so when you visit that stadium and you see a grand piano, what you do is just sit and start playing. You just become this master, because in heaven there's no limitation. And so everything is perfected. So if you want to play the grand piano, go just sit right there. David will be passing by, just maybe to show you a few notes. If you want to play the harp, you just pick the harp and start playing. If it's a tambourine, you know that people like Miriam, Moses' sister, she played the tambourine. So all these music instruments are in this stadium. So I believe that you will enjoy your time in that stadium, just playing different music instruments. And you know what happens? You can see it's a cacophony. Somebody's playing drums, another one is playing, guitar, another one is on the piano, another one, I don't know, is on what. And what it does, it creates a symphony. Would you believe it? There are all these different people playing different instruments. You'd think it's a joyful noise. It's cantankerous, it's reckless. But you know what it does is that heaven picks up just that and becomes a beautiful rhythm. And if you are nearby the stadium, you'll just be, enthralled by this beautiful symphony that's coming from this stadium. Isn't that beautiful? Personally, I will spend a lot of time at this stadium because it's just going to be beautiful. The other person I've met in heaven is Moses. But Moses, I met him in his mansion, okay? And even when I talk about Moses, I talk about Moses with a lot of awe. Because Moses is a very anointed person. Even in heaven, do you know Moses is very anointed? You can't go close to Moses. He is very anointed, and the Lord preserves that anointing for him. Because remember, even God said, I meet Moses face to face. And whenever he came down from the mountain to meet the Lord, people wouldn't look at him because he was glowing. He carried the glory of God even on his face. You couldn't look at him because it's like you were looking at God. And so the same way it is in heaven, you can't quite go close to Moses. He still carries that high anointing and radiance of God. And so it's very interesting to just observe Moses from a distance. What does Moses do in heaven? He meets a lot of the tribes of Israel. And so, the way we say, there's a homecoming. People do homecomings in Moses' mansion. They go and meet him. Maybe the tribe of Dan is going to visit Moses in this particular time. The tribe of Levi is going to meet Moses. Us, who are the engrafted seed, we are also going, so there are many processions of people going to meet Moses. He's a father of faith, and just like Abraham, he receives a lot of delegations. And one of the things the Lord has done for Moses, he has made his land is so huge that it carries so many mansions. So imagine there's this delegation coming today, another one is coming tomorrow. They're waiting. So God gives them several mansions it's like a hotel, it's like a resort. So Moses' mansion is a resort city. It's not just a mansion because there are so many people who want to go and see him. And it's just beautiful like that. One of the other things you see in Moses' mansion is the wealth that the Israelites carried off from Egypt. So the Lord has preserved it there in Moses' mansion. So, when we say, the Israelites went and knocked on the doors of the Egyptians, and they got the gold and the silver and all that, you will see it. The wealth, it is preserved for you to see. And it is in the mansion of Moses. So I know you are looking forward to that trip there. There's a lot more I can say about Moses. I just wanted to have some highlights about his mansion and what he does. The other person you meet is Abraham, our father of faith. And Abraham, he receives a lot of delegations. And many of the Arab people, they're going to give their lives to Christ. And they also visit Abraham and they call him Abu. They call him Abu. I had them call him Abu Abraham. And it was very interesting to see them, in their, Arabic attires, just going to hug and just celebrate him. And, just God is just so faithful because, he's the father of nations. And so there is a lot of rejoicing when you meet Abraham, and he's always hosting so many people, just catching up with him, and it's just a joyous celebration and a reunion when you meet Abraham. What else? Who else have I seen in heaven? I have seen Job. Job has this wonderful mansion. It's full of carpets. Those of you who like rugs, the Persian rugs, oh, Job's mansion is full of them. So I keep saying, if you want Persian rugs in your mansion, just go to Job. He'll give you the latest collection. And Job is still increasing in wealth. It's very interesting. If you go to Job's mansion today, and you go tomorrow, it's not the same mansion. It keeps expanding. I don't know how to say it. It's like you can see the wealth is increasing. So the Lord keeps increasing his wealth. Job's wealth was restored. Even in heaven, there's this scenario where you find that Job is still carrying and carrying the wealth system with him. And it's just interesting. And I've seen that God uses Job to bless people with many beautiful rugs and carpets that today are worth hundreds, if not millions, of shillings or dollars, as it may. I can talk a lot about many people that I've seen in heaven. I've seen Dorcas. Remember Dorcas, the one that was brought to life? So she's a kind of a short and bubbly lady, and she's very joyous. And imagine she continues to knit. She continues to knit sweaters and shawls. And you know, in heaven, it's not, you don't get a sweater because you're cold. You just get it because it's pretty. And you know, who would not like to get a sweater from Dorcas or a shawl? So people just, you know, go to Dorcas's house to get their sweaters and to get their shawls, and she's always so excited to knit them. And you know what? That was her ministry on earth. You know, the Lord just used her gift of knitting and stitching, and she's continuing to use that gift in heaven. So, Dorcas, I'm looking forward to my shawl and, you know. So, I've just narrated a few people that you're going to meet in heaven. And it's so exciting to see Dorcas, to meet David, to meet Moses, to meet Abraham. Next time I'll talk about Noah. I'll talk about the prophets I've met in heaven. And so there's no dull moment in heaven. So stay tuned to the Trumpet Call Vision episodes. And we are looking forward to having this as an ongoing conversation. Do not forget to tune in every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. where we hold teachings about end-time prophetic events and other revelations that the Lord continues to share with us. Stay tuned.